I'm Kara Ray, founder of Ambitious Moms Balancing Business and Babies. I'm a mother, a stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for mothers who desire to strip the mom guilt and own their ambition in business and family life. The Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who support you, have unwavering points of view, and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, energy, strong points of views, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics. Conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. Today, I am extremely excited because I get to interview Elena Sanders. Please let me know if I said that right.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I always worry about saying names. But Elena is a business mentor who is helping entrepreneurial women grow their empire and scale to 5-figure months online. So thank you so much for coming on here. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
So before I dive into the interview questions that I usually have, I love to ask this one question just about what are you currently celebrating in this season of your life?
Well, there's 2 things. I just got engaged about, like a month ago. I think it's like a month yesterday. And then also my fiance and I are we just took the leap and we're moving to San Diego in 2 months. So we just made that decision. We have our apartment all set up there. So lots of exciting things.
What called you to San Diego?
Oh my gosh, it's kind of a long story. But basically, about a year ago, I started getting into manifestation stuff. And for some reason, I kept writing down San Diego. I didn't know why, but I had never been there. I don't know people that live there. And I would just write it down. And then I would visualize in my head, do manifestation visualizations. And I would see this scene in my head. And I had never looked up San Diego stuff, but I had a feeling it was that. And it was this view. And then a few months later, I hired a coach for a high-level mastermind that I was in. And she was like, hey, we're going to San Diego for a retreat. Do you want to come? And I was like, okay, might as well go. And so I went, and the view from my hotel room, I opened the curtains in the morning, and it was the exact view that I used to see in my head. So it's this crazy story. But anyways, I fell in love with it the first time I was there. And it's just it's more of a vibe thing. It represents my freedom and abundance and stepping into my power. And so we're both in love with it. So we just decided to live there.
You just decided to do the damn thing, which is great.
Yeah.
And I love that you touched about being manifesting. Holy, I can't speak today. Today has been a tough day for the words. My goodness. Today I randomly was saying words myself. I was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, I swear. I just don't know what's going on. But you have been a manifestation freaking queen lately, because I have been following you and I absolutely love everything that you talk about in regards to manifestation. But what is something that you have learned to lean in and in regards to leaning in and trusting and surrendering? What is the biggest lesson that you have learned in regards to the whole manifestation process?
So in terms of letting go,
sure,
surrender.
Yeah, we can go that way. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've been a very masculine, energized person, super highly driven. I'm an achievement junkie type person, but very masculine, energized. So whenever I heard of anything that was spiritual, I was that's bullshit. I hope I can say that on this podcast.
That's fine. Yeah, it's uncensored. You're good.
Okay, perfect. So I was yeah, no, this is bullshit. That's stupid. Show me the strategies. I need to know how to, an XYZ little paint by number process, right?
Yeah.
But I quickly realized that actually didn't work. So, I mean, yeah, you need some strategies and skills for your business, but this spirituality side, once I started to dive into that and starting to work on like my feminine energy and the trust and surrender sort of things started to happen really rapidly. So I guess part of like my success, especially the past year, I really scaled really massively. And I truly attribute that to working on the manifestation side of things, and not just like, oh, learn how to like manifest and like, no, it's like really like diving into your own spiritual practice. So like for me, because I am so super masculine energized, like I'm like hustle all the time, get shit done, like choke holding my goals. And so once I learned, and that works against you sometimes. So like for me, learning the trust and surrender side of things, learning to allow things to happen, trusting, like that was actually like a huge part of success, honestly. And it's something that I have to like with all coaches. I mean, we're so like, we want things to happen so badly. And that was like a piece that I had to really learn was trust, like surrender, let it go. Like that. Yeah. So that was like a huge learning lesson that I had to learn, but it's helped and brought amazing things into my life. So
100%. And honestly, the trust and surrender process, I love that you talked about how entrepreneurs go through this. It is something, because I used to sit in my masculine energy all the freaking time where I was like, hustle, hustle, hustle. Let's get to the next goal. Okay, next one, next one, next one. And I never freaking stopped, and I just never trusted and just like allowed. So I became freaking overwhelmed all the time. And then this message kept coming, just trust and surrender, just trust and surrender. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Like,
yeah, it's like, this is bullshit. Stop.
I was like, I don't get it. You're telling me to trust. You're telling me to surrender. To what? I'm like,
no.
Tell me. So I like that you were like, I need strategy. I was like, yeah, totally relate to the whole paint by numbers. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, this is step 1. This is step 2. But that's not all it. And then I think people overcomplicate what trust and surrender means. It's just allowing the pieces to fall into play, and that there's like a long-term vision behind it. And so I talked with another woman too about being a visionary, and how like as an entrepreneur, yes, of course we have goals, but sometimes we get so wrapped up in these small goals and we don't see the bigger picture. And so I've been guilty of that. Yep, sure have. But it is something that I constantly have to remind. And also, I think it's something good that we should talk about is taking action. Because yes, you can sit down and write all these things out about what you desire, but unless you're taking action towards that, girl, it's not going to happen. I just firmly believe that. So what's your take on that?
Like, there's like two sides, right? There's like the person that's like super masculine, high energized, like give me the strategy, that sort of thing. And then it gets, what happened with me was I was anxious all the time, like scared, trying to like think about everything that I should do, not trusting myself, not trusting the process, like always in fear, always anxious. Like that was me. I was like using those strategies to like feel like I could feel in control or feel safe. And then also there's the other side of it where people tend to be more in their like feminine energy and then be like, oh, I'm just gonna like sit here and journal about this and hope that like it pops out of the sky, and like, nah, right? Like you have to have this balance between it. It's gonna look different for everyone. And the crazy thing is that I actually work and quote unquote hustle a lot less than I used to, and I see much more abundant results, but I still take action, right? Like like you said, we still have to take the action. So we have to set like intentions of what we want and journal out things and really get clear about what we want. But then we have to take the inspired action. Like action has to be part of it. That's like, you know, people hate on like the thing of like The Secret because they just say, visualize your $10,000 or like whatever. But action is a key piece of that to step into it, right? We have to take the action that we know how to take and that's given to us.
Well, and I agree with that. And also when you're setting intentions, I think sometimes people get so lost in the intentions they put down because they think they're almost out of reach, where those things are in reach. You just need to start taking those steps, that next step. And then one day you're going to reach that and you'll be like, holy shit, I didn't think that was possible before, but I kept taking action and here it is. Wow. Like
Yeah.
I still remember when I had my first client, I was like, you know what? This is taking forever. I don't even know what's going on. Why is this taking so long? I was getting so mad. I was investing so much money and then it happened. And like all the stress in the world that I had ever felt, I was like, thank you. I was so freaking happy. My husband came home and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And like, I remember I was telling my dad and he's like, you know what? Don't ever let that feeling go. Like, I'm so proud. And he was so this person who was stuck in like 9 to 5. This is what you got to do. You got to have a job, that got to have benefits. You got to do this. And then when I called him so excited, he's like, don't let anybody ever steal that from you because that is what it's about. And I was like, thank you. And so I think people get so wrapped up in those things that they don't realize that everything is unfolding in such a miraculous way that it still blows my mind every single day what goes on in life.
Yeah.
It's a whole other topic for So you made a post, I think maybe it was today or the day before, but it was about, I think I wrote it down here. So in regarding those taking messy action and those in regards to the people that win. So those who are taking that action, do you want to explain that a little bit? Because I thought that was just like fiery.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I posted, those willing to take messy action are those that win. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing is that a lot of people say that they want to achieve X, Y, and Z. I want to start my business. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to make 5K, like whatever it is. Like I want all these things. And yet they wait. They wait until the time is right. They wait until they're good enough. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they're perfect or they know enough or whatever. And we keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting because the reality is you'll never feel ready. You'll never feel good enough. You'll never feel like you know enough. Like even now as a coach, you know, running this business that I'm running and doing all of the things and teaching other people how to do it. Sometimes I still don't feel like I'm enough. Sometimes more than often than not, I question myself. I still doubt myself, right? We have to be willing to just take messy action and we build confidence along the way. Yes. Like that's what I want people to know is like, just even if you're imperfect, even if you're messy, even if it's scary, just take the damn action. Be willing to be brave, be willing to be courageous. And that's how you actually win. The people that take the action get there.
Yeah. They get there. That's what they do, guys. They get there.
And sometimes, like sometimes, I mean, people will be like, yeah, but I'm taking the fucking action and nothing is happening. And I've been there too. And I have clients that are there too. And so I always say like, yeah, those that take action win because you're going to be waiting forever if you don't take the damn action. But at the same time, those that keep going win. Like sometimes you're taking the action. It feels like nothing is happening. Like you said with your first client, it's like, when is this going to happen? Like, why, when? And we just have to keep showing the fuck up for our purpose, like over and over and over and over again. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you listen to like Amanda Frances, but she does this. She had this one podcast episode where she was like, you know, I'm a millionaire, but I kept going. Like when everybody else gave up, when everybody else like thought it was hard, I just kept going. And that's why I'm here, right? That's the person that wins. The person that's willing to take messy action and keep going, even whenever it's messy or hard or scary.
Well, and I think we should touch on the fact that, yes, something might look scary now, but imagine 5 years from now, you're going to look back at that situation and you're going to wonder, why the heck was I even scared of that? Like, what? That wasn't scary. Like, it's going to be one of those situations. Like, even there's situations in my life that have happened, say 5 years ago, that I look back now and I swear I was having panic attacks at the time. And now I sit here, what were you freaking out about? Like, this is small. And so our mindset has us this innate ability to just make something 1,000 times worse than it actually is.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that even if you are scared to do something, I really feel like if I have anxiety towards a situation, or I'm scared or I'm nervous about something, usually that is my next best step, because I have to move out of my comfort zone to have that ability to step into that. And I think that's important for people to know too, is that if you're not reaching it at this very second, there might be something you're supposed to learn.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's important.
For sure. For sure.
I remember my coach was like, well, maybe you just have something to learn. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I was like, no.
Stop.
No, I want it now. And she's like, well, what do you need to learn? She's like, you're not trusting at all. She's like, it's like, you know what? Fine. Okay. I get it. I need to learn something. And every single freaking time when I was pushing and pushing and pushing, and then I would just trust and relax, I would learn something new. Something else would come to play, and it would end up working in my life in such magical ways, or I would invest in different things, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, mind freaking blown that I needed those steps so that I can be the person that my clients need. I think that's also huge, because there were so many things that I didn't know when I came into the entrepreneurial journey. And I was like, I can do everything right now. No, I overwhelmed the shit out of myself because I didn't know a lot of things. And now but I'm continuing to grow. So even though I think I know a lot of things now, there's still so much out there in the world that I don't know and that I'm open to learn. Because I think when you're an entrepreneur, you don't just stop learning. You continue to grow all the time.
Right. And you can, something that someone told me, I don't remember, or no, it was one of my mentors in the past. She told me, because I was like having a breakdown, like I was messaging her and I was like crying and I was like going through all this stuff and just like freaking the fuck out. And she messaged me and was like, hey, guess what? I just had a full day where I sat in front of my TV and binge watched Netflix and ate a whole entire tub of Cheeto Puffs. And then I went and cried for like 2 hours, and then X, Y, Z, and I was like, oh, it's okay to be human and you can still be successful. Like we all go through shit. So you can still be a work in progress and be learning things and still be a badass and be successful. Like I'm always going through inner work. I'm always like, we were in a program together, you know, doing programs, working on myself, integrating new things so that I can become a better mentor and a better coach. Yes. But that doesn't mean that you wait forever at the same time. Like, you know, 100%. Oh, I need to do this program and that program and this program to even start, right? So we can work on ourselves and we can do the inner work and still be successful and be a badass at the same time.
Love it. And even because I want to touch on what you said is how you don't need to take this, and this to start. You just need to start. And I thought that I had to go get the certificates, get this, get that, do this, do that, take this course, take that course. And I was overwhelming the shit out of myself. I'm like, how am I going to step into this woman that I want to be? And how am I going to be able to be there for my clients? And I knew that I needed to take that messy action and just start. And I remember people looking at me being like, you are fucking crazy. What are you doing? I'm like, you know what? I trust this. This is what I feel called to do. They're like, yeah, I think it's bogus. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. That is fine. You can think what you want. And then it got me to a point where when I signed that first client, I was like, this is what it's about. It's not even about of course, wealth is nice. And of course we all love money, but that wasn't even what it was about. I was just celebrating the shit out of someone trusting me in something that I felt extremely called to do and being able to guide them. That's what the excitement was about. When I was like, hell freaking yes. And so I think that's a big thing people need to remember too, is that it's not just about we were talking before about those little things. It's just about this bigger picture, and that you don't need 1,001 things to be able to teach those things. You know, I had a conversation with a lady probably about a month ago, and I remember she's like, well, what are your qualifications? And I always say it's a lot of my experience. And I said, I go off of my experience. And she looked at me, and she was probably in her I would say late 50s. And she's like, you know what? I would hire you before I hire anybody else that went to get a degree. And I was like, Thank you so much. Like it warmed my heart that she's like, I would rather talk to someone who has experience and real life experience in those scenarios than someone who just went to school and read a textbook. She's like, but that's not everybody, and not everybody thinks that way. But for the people who are doubting, there are people who would rather know that you have just real life freaking experience and you talk about it and you teach off that. Oh, I just had to say that, because that was like one of those things that they just really boosted your confidence, where they were like, oh, I believe in you. I think you're great. And the universe is like, yeah, this is what you did.
Yeah. I mean, I've had those same moments. I mean, whenever I was a fitness coach, I thought that I had to get all the certifications, and I got all the certifications because I used it to validate me, like to be like, oh, I need this to be good enough. And I kept getting certification after certification after certification because I thought that was somehow going to magically make a difference, and it didn't whatsoever. And like you said, a lot of people, like, they're not hiring you off of because you have certain qualifications. They're hiring you because of who you are, because they resonate with you on like a deep soul level. People ask me like not a lot actually anymore, because they know I have really strong opinions on this, but everyone in the beginning, they'll be like, do I need X certification or X certification? I'm like, no, just fucking start. Like, you know enough because of what you've been through. Like, that's truly what people are buying into, because they trust you. They know you've been where they are, and now you're on the other side of it. That's all that matters, is that you can walk someone through where you've been. Like, that's truly it. I mean, obviously be in integrity with what you're teaching, but if you have the experience, like, of what you've been through, that's what they're hiring you for, because of you as a soul, because of you as a human, that's what they're buying into, rather than just something next to your name.
100%. It's similar to the people that you're friends with, or like proximity is power. You spend time with people that you like, their mannerisms, the way that they speak, how they treat other people. You are attracted to those things, just like the people that you hire in your life. You are attracted to something that they have, that you love, that you want to attract into your life. And I think it's extremely powerful for women to know, like, if they're listening on this podcast, that you just need to start doing the damn thing. You just need to start going for it. I find so many people say, oh, I'm too old, or I can't do that, or I gotta wait. Why? We have one freaking life, like one, and don't freaking waste it. I spent so much time before worrying about what every other Tom, Dick, and Harry thought about my damn life. Like, and now I literally watch people and I listen to conversations, and I'm just mind blown about like how much self-development can do for you, and what you just are no longer there for anymore. You're just like, no, I don't have time and space for this anymore. Like, I know where I'm going and I know what I want, but I find so many people getting stuck in this constant negativity or these ruts, and all they do is talk about everything that's shitty. And I'm like, oh, I just wish I could just like magically have like a little wand and say, everybody stop doing that, ta-da. Like, But, so I have another question for you, because we're talking about, you know, being an entrepreneur and doing the damn thing, but what has something that has been proven to be true for you time and time again in regards to being an entrepreneur? Dun, dun, dun.
I would say listening to your intuition.
Love it. I did not mean to stump you. I'm so sorry. I was like, silence. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my goodness.
I was going to say the messy action thing, but we already talked about that. But I would say, I mean, the action thing, but then I would say intuition, because I did a podcast episode on this the other day. I haven't released it yet, but I talked about investing in myself, and how if I hadn't been willing to act on, like, okay, the whole damn reason you're wanting to start a business in the first place is because of a nudge from your intuition telling you to do the damn thing, right? You have to be willing to act on the intuition, right? And so with hiring coaches, again, it was fucking scary and terrifying to invest in yourself. Again, just act on the nudge, right? And again, like, as I've, you know, I mentioned briefly, I used to be a fitness coach, and I did that for like almost 3 years. And then I knew, my intuition told me again, hey, it's time to switch things up. It's time to do something different. And even then, as I was a business coach and with the message, like the things that I was talking about, like beforehand, I would have never, ever, 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 like even a few months ago, talked about manifestation or any sort of spirituality stuff. That's who I am. Like, it's part of who I am. And I knew I had to like honor that intuitive nudge, because I was basing everything that I was doing off of what I quote unquote should do, like what I should talk about, what I'm allowed to talk about, what will actually like what I thought would bring in money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so act on your intuition. Like, your gut is always, always, always leading you down the right path, and you have to take the action on the intuition as well.
Well, okay, so now that you brought up investment and intuition, I want to talk about that, because I think so many listeners are probably going to think about something like, you know what, I wanted to invest in that and I didn't, and I regret it. And I remember when I first hired my coach, I basically shit bricks when I heard what the investment was. And at that time, I was so stuck in this like lack and scarcity mindset that I didn't think I was worthy of that, or that I was like, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to have the money to do this? Like, I can't even pay my fucking bills. Like, what am I going to do? But I just like knew that I couldn't even explain it. I remember sitting there with my husband, and he said, you know what, we'll make this work. We'll do this, and we will make it work every single time. And I said, you know, I don't even still know how, but I need to do this. And I don't even know what the need is, but like, I need to. And so I just trusted it. And then holy shit, from now, like I look back and I've said to myself, like, oh my God, if I did not invest in myself, like my life would be so drastically different right now. Like, I wouldn't even be on here talking to you and doing this podcast interview, because my life, I wouldn't have invested in her. I wouldn't have met all these incredible women. I wouldn't have had the confidence to just come on here and meet people and just say, hey, let's talk about life. Like, it's one of those things where I firmly believe that people should invest in themselves for their highest good. Like, if you feel so freaking called to do something, please do it. Like, please, it will all align so freaking beautifully for you when you say yes. Because every single month now, I've always made the payment, and we've always had more. And then when I signed on again and it was a higher level, I was like, no questions asked. I'm fucking doing the damn thing. I'm like, I'm making it work. And so but then my whole relationship with like investing changed. And then I invested in another program that I was doing with you, and another one on top of that. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, when I thought that number was big, I'm like, shit, this number is big. But it just says, like, it might seem big to you now, but it's like one step in the right direction. And then that's going to seem so small. Like we were talking before about situations in your life, it's going to seem so small. And even before, when I looked at what I was investing before, I'm like, girl, why were you stressed about that? Like, look what you're doing now.
Right? Exactly.
So, like, what is your opinion on investments as well? Because like, I know I just went on a tangent there, but like, what is your opinion on investing in yourself?
Yeah, I have very strong opinions on this. And I did a podcast episode over it because, you know, I'm a business coach. I have other coaches reaching out to me, and they say that they want to achieve X, Y, and Z, and yet they're not willing to invest in themselves. And I have very strong opinions over it because of how. So kind of prefacing this, I don't believe that just because you put $2,000 on the line doesn't mean that you're going to get a result, right? Like we said, it's based on your intuition. Like, just because you put a little bit of the skin in the game, that doesn't guarantee anything, right? I firmly believe that you have to decide that you're going to be a return on your investment. And that is what makes you a return on your investment. Like, you have to decide that you're going to be successful, and it has to be like that intuitive nudge of, this is what I know I need to do. So for me, I did like a whole podcast episode over where I was talking about this year, 2018 was like massively scaled my business. And for a few years prior to that, I was struggling. I was stuck. I was in the exact same spot. My confidence was, I was seeing some success, but it was like barely scraping by. And so then, suddenly I invested in myself, and then I saw results. Like, I was scaling my income a bit. I like tripled my income, and then it kept multiplying in from there. It's like I had to be willing to meet myself with the level that I wanted to be at. And so I was like, okay, obviously, if I keep doing what I have always done, I'm going to continue struggling.
Yes.
Right. So I had to realize that and then be like, okay, I got to take this scary leap. And like you said, I can't even fucking pay my bills. That was me whenever I first invested in my business. I literally had less than $600 in my bank account. And I was like, okay, either I have to go get a job because I can't pay my bills, or I'm just going to get this credit card and I'm going to invest in this coach that I know I'm supposed to be with. And I'm just going to fucking figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
Like, figure this out. Like, I don't know how, but I know I have to do this to get to where I want to be. And that's when like it all started. As soon as I was able to really, I mean, obviously my business was already starting stuff, but like me scaling and me seeing really amazing results because I actually got the support that I needed, the knowledge that I needed, like all of it. And so I continued to invest in myself, like massively and scarily, like, you know, I invest scary amounts, but also I'm not where I want to be at. And I want to continue to grow and to scale. So I say, okay, well, if I'm not where I want to be at, who is, and who do I resonate with? Like on that soul level, like we talked about, who's my intuition calling me to reach out to? And, you know, my coach has a coach and her coach has a coach. Like, I just have a really strong opinion. Like, you should have a coach if you want to continue to grow. Like, that's my opinion.
I agree with that. And I think it's like some people have biased opinions in regards to hiring coaches, but I think the biased opinion is because they don't fully understand it, or they're very closed to the fact that can actually allow that taking that step, they can see massive impacts in like all areas of their life, because investing in myself hasn't just helped my business or me starting my business for that matter, because I didn't even have a freaking business before I hired my coach. Like I went all in and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I have no idea. I was in a network marketing company and I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. And she looked at me, she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, do you hear yourself? Like, do you hear the words that you have to say? Like, let's get really freaking clear on like what you want to do. And I just felt like I needed to work with her. And then I felt like I needed to invest in these other people because I wanted to be in their energy and I wanted to literally vibe off of them. And because I love the life they're living as well. Like, I think somebody said it, I think it might've been Melanie, when she said, don't hire a coach. No, this was Olivia. Don't hire a coach whose life you don't want. And that was Olivia Celine that said that. And I just was like, mic drop, like boom, that totally makes sense, because the life that my coach has right now, hell yes, I freaking want all of that. Like, even all the messiness that goes along with it, because life has its messy moments. And like, talking about being human, you are meant to feel freaking emotions. Like, those things are supposed to happen. And if you can't freaking feel them, they're going to smack you in the face over and over again until you freaking feel them. Like, I firmly believe that. I remember I kept wondering, why the hell is this coming up again? Why is this happening again? And I kept suppressing it. And then I remember, I think it was Autumn. And then it was my mom who were like, you know what? Maybe you should just deal with it. Like, it keeps coming up for a reason. Like, why don't you sit with it, process it? Like, if you're crying about something, you obviously need to let something go. But if you don't process it, how frick are you going to let it go? Like, oh my goodness. Now I'm going on a whole other one. Like, listen to this. I just go on all these tangents. Sorry, guys. But, well, actually, I was going to say sorry, not sorry. But like, investing and trusting in your intuition, like we were talking about taking action. Like, you can hire a coach and they can tell you XYZ, or they can be like, hey, this might be a good step for you, or hey, this is my guidance for you. But unless you take freaking action on that guidance, what are you hoping to happen? Like, someone can tell you information over and over again. Like, people could be listening to this, but unless you take the damn action, people. Like,
you have to integrate it. You have to integrate it in order to transform, in order to get the results. And that was a huge lesson that Melanie taught me, where I know a lot of things, right? But it's working on mastery. It's not just knowing a bunch of shit that doesn't do anything for you unless you integrate it, unless you take the action on it. Nothing happens, right? There's no transformation that happens. Like, your brain can be full of a lot of great information, but what are you going to actually do about it?
Yep. And I think it's important to know that, you know, when you're stepping into whatever you feel called to do, no matter what that is, whether it's a 9 to 5, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's you're creating your own business, there's going to be people who don't necessarily believe in what you're doing, and that's okay. The way I had to talk to my husband about it, because I want to talk about limiting beliefs with you after as well, and that's how this is going to like tie in a little bit. But I remember my husband was stuck in this state where he's like, when are you going to start making money? When is this going to happen? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And I looked at him and I said, because he works in crop insurance, and I'm like, do you think I have any fucking clue about crop insurance? I'm like, do you think I do? Because like I don't, and I try to listen to you, and it is not something that I would ever want to do in my life. But I don't judge you for the fact that you want to do it. So why would you judge me for the fact that I feel called to do this? Because like I don't judge you. And he was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like it was one of those moments where I was like, I'm going to relate to you here. Like I love you and I respect what you do, but I don't understand why you love it or why you want to do it, because it's not something that I want to do ever in my life. But I love that you do it. And so it just like opened his eyes a little bit more and he became so much more supportive through that, because he said like, I don't have to understand why you do what you do, but I love the shit out of you and I want to support you and whatever that looks like. And because I remember before he would be super frustrated about like investing another $1,000 or investing another amount of money. Yeah. He was just like, where is this going? What are you doing? Who is this person you're hiring? And I'm like, just trust me. Like, I promise you, this has like a massive amount of return. Like if you just trust me, like this is what the next step is. And he's done so well now, but like we had to have those tough conversations. We had to talk about limiting beliefs, which is why I want to chat with you about like, what are some of the biggest limiting beliefs that you have had, or even reoccurring ones that you have to rewrite? Like people, I think they forget, like, you don't have this like one blueprint of your freaking life. Like you get to change it. You can change it. You can rewrite the damn story. And like, what is a limiting belief that you've had in your life that has come up a few times that you've had to rewrite?
Oh my God. I do so much inner work, like every single day. So there's a million, like seriously, and know that. And I am successful, and I, run over 6-figure, like I hit 6 figures within 6 months, and then I'm scaling my business. Like I want people to realize that I'm making this money, and sometimes I'm a shit show. Like sometimes, most days, every single day, I'm doing inner work. So again, just like I like to be raw and open about that, because it just shows like you don't have to be perfect, right? No. So a huge limiting belief that I always run into is that I am too like small, I'm too young, I'm too little. I'm only 22, and a lot of people don't know that, and I actually is because I'm like had shame over like I'm so young, and then people aren't going to trust me, or blah blah blah, like all these limiting belief stories that I would tell myself. And yeah, I am young, but I've also I'm just who I am, right? Like I don't need to explain myself. That was another thing of like, oh, I need to try to justify everything. But that was a huge limiting belief that I had, like that people wouldn't trust me, or that I wasn't good enough, I didn't know enough. And then also I'm like a very small person. So I'm 4'11".
Oh, you are.
I'm a very small person.
My grandma, like, well, she passed away like many years ago, but literally she was like, pretty sure she was 4'11". Yeah. So like, oh, wow.
I'm a small person. So that was another thing. Like, I remember the very first coach that I had, I was still in the fitness industry. And she was like, she asked me a question. It had nothing to do with anything, but of course I needed to work through it. So just like blurted out of my mouth. And she asked me something about my social media. And I was like, well, I hate whenever people comment and tell me I'm cute. Like they don't take me seriously, and they say that I'm cute, and it makes me so mad. And she was like I was really upset about it. And she was like, well, it's just a reflection of like what you're saying about yourself and what you're making it mean, and like all these things. And I like still to this day, like I'm much better about it, because I don't take it in the way that I used to. But like if someone called me cute, that suddenly meant that they didn't take me seriously, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't smart enough, like all these things. Because I was considering it that I was like a little girl, you know, because I do look like a little girl. Like people still think I'm like in middle school. If I have no makeup on and I'm at the store, people will think I'm like a middle schooler. So it's fine. But also it's like a huge limiting belief that like I'm not good enough. Like at the end of the day, we can put X, Y, and Z over it, but you know, whether it be how you look or how old you are or whatever, we all have these like stories that we tell ourselves, and it's all bullshit at the end of the day. But we just place these limits on ourselves, and that was, I mean, at the end of the day, like I can say a million, but it's like not good enough, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Oh, it totally did. It totally did. And I love that you also went on a tangent. And I'm like, yes, girl, thank you. Thank you. Take it. But honestly, okay, so I'm 26. I didn't know that you were 22, but I also didn't know you were 4'11", but I think that's incredible. I used to be the person that people were like, oh my God, you're so tall. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm 5'9" or something like that.
Oh, you are tall.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad is like 6'6" though. So,
Wow.
you know, my mom's not. My mom's like 5'4". So there's like,
there you go.
There. But, so I always used to get like, oh, you're so tall. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I know, I get it. And I used to like people I would date were always like a little bit shorter than me. And I was just like, everyone's like, how can you date somebody who's shorter? I'm like, I'm fucking tall. Like what? It's like, what is that? Why is that a bad thing? Like now my husband is like much taller than me. He's like 6'5" or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to touch on that because like, you know what? Whether you're short, whether you're tall, you're fucking beautiful. You're great. And like, I'm just like, you know what? No. And so I don't think it matters the age. Like when I think I learned that really well from Melanie actually, how like, because she just teaches like all ages, and like how age is just a number. Like we put this number on ourselves, and that's supposed to dictate like how mature we are, what we're supposed to be doing in our life, what we're supposed to have accomplished. And I think it's so limiting for people. Like, who cares if you're 50? Who cares if you're 20? Yeah. Like, whatever you do with your life and whatever you feel called to do, just do the fucking thing. Like, it's like when people are like, oh, I should have played basketball when I was younger. Why don't you just go buy a fucking basketball and play basketball? Like, go do it. Like, so maybe you're not in the NBA, but like, still, why are you stopping yourself? Like, or just like so many different things are like, oh, I can't play the piano. Start learning how to play the piano. Like just because you feel like you can't right now, like doesn't mean that you can't. I want people to know that like you can feel this limiting belief and you could think that, but I think a lot of those limiting beliefs comes from numbers or what other people's expectations are, and other people's opinions of you, and I've said this before on the podcast, are none of your fucking business, like at all. And you need to just like allow that to just like, if somebody thinks ill of you or doesn't like you or doesn't resonate with you, it is none of your business, and you don't need to allow that to stop you. Like when my dad said, don't let anybody ever take that light away from you, it was because he's like, there's going to be people who are going to try to freaking strip you away of that. Yeah. And don't let anybody do that, because he's like, everything that you're feeling in this moment, like if something lights you the fuck up, just go after it with everything that you have, because like it's meant to light you up for a reason. It's like when you talked about spirituality before. I hated talking about spirituality before. I was like, this is a bunch of bullshit. This is a bunch of juju. But like, I had an episode with Viola actually, and we ended up really diving into like spirituality, and we were talking about how like I used to see auras as a child, and like then I like completely suppressed that and pushed it away. And then I never liked when people would bring it up, because it was something I pushed like so far down that I was like, spirituality is bullshit, because everybody was telling me spirituality is bullshit. It's not real. It's fake. People are crazy. It's too woo-woo. Like you're a witch. Like literally like all these fucking things. And I was like, why are people so negative? Like, and so I just suppressed that. And then, but like, I think also in regards to spirituality, like a spiritual practice is what you make it. It doesn't need to be complicated. No. And whatever you do during your day, if you believe in it and you take that action and you rewrite those limiting beliefs and you take action upon those things, like you are going to see results. You really are. Like we were talking about that blueprint. Like, your life isn't just this one blueprint that says this is what you're doing in your life. Like, you can open this door or you can open this door, and like every other door you open is going to take you on a different direction, and you're going to meet new people. Every choice you make affects like hundreds of thousands of people. Like, people don't understand that grandest scale. They're like, oh no, I just decided to like, you know, pay for this person's coffee. That doesn't make any changes in anybody else's life. Are you kidding me? That probably changed a ton of people's life in one day. Like, your one decision to do something extremely positive probably changed hundreds of people's lives. Like, it's just like one thing. I think people just really underestimate life. And now I just went on another tangent, and I really feel like we need to do another one. Like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm fully talking about. I'm like talking about spirituality and auras, and I'm like, hey, let's just talk about all this.
All of the things.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I wanted to say, I always say, kind of riffing off of what you were saying in terms of like the decisions that you make. Like, I truly do believe that. Like, we're writing our fucking story with every single moment that we're living and decision that we make. And I always say, I had this as like a joke, just kind of joking about it. But now I'm like, yeah, that's very true. I always say, like, my life up to this point where I'm at right now, like 22, having this amazing business, living a life that I could only dream about, like all of these amazing things are happening, right? My life has been shaped by every single fuck it moment that I've decided to act upon. Like, seriously, every single time there's been this like scary, like I dropped out of college. I was like, fuck it. I know that's not for me. I moved 13 hours away from home when I was 19. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. Hiring a coach whenever it was absolutely illogical. Fuck it. I'm going to do it. Like, every single fuck it moment has shaped my reality. Not from a place of like, I don't care, but like, fuck it. I'm jumping in and I'm writing my story. Mm-hmm. So that was actually a good point. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, because it kind of is kind of like the whole theme of what we've been talking about, of like, jump in, like, do the damn thing, follow your intuition, take the action, just kind of wraps it all up.
All nice. Lumped up in one beautiful thing, and all the tangents and everything.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I just want the best for so many people. Like, I used to not believe in what I could do in my life, and I limited myself and was always like, why is everybody else so successful? And I would allow the words of others to really hurt me. And then I really stepped into this like next level version of myself that believed in her, that didn't care about what other people thought about her, that because they're not inside of me. Like, my heart is beating inside of me, not inside of them. So like, this is my life and I get to choose. Like, and I know that when I die, I don't want to look back and regret on the decisions that I made, like, ever. I don't want there to be a moment where I'm like, oh, I really wish I did this. No, I'm going to do that fucking thing because I want to live an incredible life. Like, I'm not even guaranteed tomorrow. Like, there's something could happen, and people really take that for granted. They're like, oh, I'll see somebody in like 3 days. What if you don't? Like, what if you fucking don't? Like, what, or say, like, it's just like when people get, all of a sudden they get this like message that they've become extremely ill, and then they want to do all these things, and their life is like, their eyes are opened and all this stuff happens. And it's like, but you should be living like that now. Like, not living like you're dying, but like the Melanie says that, like, don't live like you're dying, but live like you're fucking in the moment. Like, live right now. Like, live
like you just figured out you are alive.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. But this is exactly what she said. And like, that resonated with me so much, where like every moment in my day, like, if I get so stuck in like these moments that, because like we said, like, you're meant to feel and you need to feel emotions, but like, life is this big thing, and it's just something that you should be so grateful for, like, being here and in this like person that you are. Because like, do you know how many times, like, you were talking about how like people would like that you were like shorter, or people would think that you were too young, or like all these things that you thought. I used to be called the fat girl all the time. Like, people, they're like, you're so fat, you're so ugly, and blah, blah, blah. It was like something that people would tell me that literally just started bouncing off of me, because I'm like, cool, tell me something I haven't heard. Like, tell me something that I, not that I don't know, but like, I'm not the smallest woman, but that does not mean I'm ugly. That does not define me. My roles don't define who I am as a woman. Like, I think I'm a fucking great woman. Thank you. Like, you think I'm fat? That's cool. Like, okay. It's just like, it's one of those things that I've allowed to just like roll off. Like, you can either allow someone's words to like stop you from living this fucking incredible life, or you can go after what you want. I feel like it's like,
Boom.
Let people stop. Boom. Oh my gosh, I love that. Boom. Mic'd out. Like, all these things in this. This is good. This is good. I gotta listen to this episode after and I'll probably be laughing my freaking ass off. Oh my gosh. But okay, before we wrap up this conversation, because I'm having so much fun talking with you, what if there is one message that you could let all these women know that are listening to this, like, what would that be for them? I keep leaving her with the hard questions, guys. I'm so sorry.
I would just say, just do the damn thing. Like, I really like how you kind of finished up with that thing of live like you just figured out that you are alive. Like, when are you going to stop waiting? Like, stop wishing your life away with waiting. Stop wasting your time. Like, do the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the biggest things that I learned from Melanie, which there was an episode prior. So if everybody is like wondering, who is this person you're talking about? It's Melanie Ann Layer. She's fucking brilliant. Listener.
Yeah.
And like, she had said that, and it resonated with me so much that like, that's a message that like everybody should know. But like, oh my goodness, you guys, it is one thing, like, live like you're alive, live like you're in the moment right now, live like you want to be here right now, not like wishing and waiting for something to happen like 10 years down the line. Like, do the fucking thing, like you said, right now, because you deserve that. We get so stuck in like thinking that we don't deserve something, but you do. Like, why is somebody else more deserving than you? Why do you think that somebody else is deserving of something and you're not? Like, really, really evaluate that. If you're telling yourself that you're not deserving of it, why the fuck are you telling yourself that? Please rewrite that, because that's just no, don't do that. No. But so for the listeners that are on here, if they really resonate with you and they want to hang out with you, they want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Yes. So I'm always on Instagram. It's Elena Sanders on Instagram. Super simple. I have a podcast called the Paid and Powerful Podcast. And then I have a Facebook group. My free Facebook group is called the Paid and Powerful Community.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you again for coming on here, guys. Her stuff will be also tagged in the show notes. So if you're curious about it, it'll also be in there too. If you just kind of like, missed it, it's there. So it'll be there. But thank you so much for doing this, for having this conversation with me. It was incredible. I think you're amazing. I think you are just such a fantastic woman. And so thank you so much for doing this with me. And it was so great to get to know you on such another level.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, guys, I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.